dzisiaj start wspólny, 10 km techniką klasyczną kobiet i dystans naprawdę nie lada trudny, szczególnie ten podbieg na kobietę 37 metrów. Już podbiegł sobie 362 minut.
Który też będzie ogromnym wyzwaniem, bo zwłaszcza dla dziewczyn. Należy trzymać się wspierać.
Jest to mistrzostwa krajowych, które rozgrywają się w Norwegii, Szwecji, Finlandii, Szwajcarii. Jak kontuzja wygląda i tego sezonu ciężko się może powiedzieć.
Żeby ta gospodarka wcześniej trafiła do mieszkania i wszystkie, gdzie miała szansę pokazać, to jest najgorszy czas. Tutaj, jeśli chodzi o Szwecję, to
Well, plenty of fallers in the men's race in the initial stages, largely due to the compact conditions, just the track's not wide enough, but there's also quite a lot of dirt on the tracks. But Villigzanen rode through all of that, and a brilliant sprint from the Russian in the closing 1,500 metres. Also matched by Belov, who managed to outsprint Poulter, running for second place. Alex Harvey of Canada, he was up the front most of the way, just let it slip before the last lap. And I think he really had to work too hard with 3Ks to go to have anything left to give over the last kilometre. Well, the women's race due off in just a couple of minutes' time. Justina Kowalczyk very much the favourite, and she's the one who's managed to attract the crowd. And it would be a big moment for her if she can win a World Cup on home snow. And that would be a first for Kowalczyk. She's achieved just about everything else in the game. And she will be wearing bib number 1 when the women's 10 kilometre gets underway. As for the technical problems we've been having, hopefully everything will run smoothly from now. Justina Kowalczyk of Poland is the first away. Well, she's not the first away, it's a mass start, but she's wearing bib number 1 as the favourite. Szklarska wearing 2, Diggins of USA alongside Elizabeth Stephen on the front row. Further down the order, Mike, Stephanie Böhler. Be interesting to see how the Germans go. They look pretty strong in the opening stages for the men's race.
Yes, there's certainly a team on form. Frank Ulrich guiding them so well and bringing them up to form at this time. Not a big field though, Patrick, 46 in the field.
I think that's a good thing, to be honest, Mike, because the track's very limited. It's a 2.7 kilometre loop. They were going to do 4 loops to take it just over 10 kilometres. They're now going to do 3. And the reason being that the snow conditions just aren't good enough. So Kowalczyk in the middle of your picture. There she is wearing 1, and all the locals supporting her. Denise Herman right behind her, someone worth watching today. So the last 10 kilometre race before the Olympic Games, and the Olympic favourite wearing bib number 1, Justina Kowalczyk, who is so seldom beaten over this discipline in the 10 kilometre distance. She is an absolute specialist when it comes to the classic style, and it's not really her technique, it's more to do with her engine. And I think we could see her trying to make a break on the first lap if she chooses to do so. I can't see her taking it as slow as the men took the first lap, Mike.
I think you could see her smiling. We never see her, well, we always see her smiling, but we never see her looking so up for this on the start line. Kowalczyk, surely she's going to destroy this field from the gun.
Well, it looks to me as though she's gone with very sticky skis indeed, and that means that she'll be going for it on the uphill. She'll just run up it with zero style and just try and blast her way past the rest of the field. But at the moment, she's having to work really hard to stay with Szklarska at the front. The Russian looking very, very easy. Good glide on the skis, and alongside Szklarska we've got Kuzyakova of Russia as well, who was 8th in the Lenzerheide 10 kilometres, so she's certainly got the potential. Elizabeth Stephen wearing 4. Watch out for the other American, Jessie Diggins, wearing 3. She's had a good season, Mike, and I just wonder what the American team can do. Their big hope is that they get it together in the women's relay in Sochi.
And I really think they've got this chance, and we mention often the team spirit from the American team. Kickin Randall is the little legend. They're all copying her. Of course, she'll be heading into her 4th Olympic Games, Randall, and it really is a special atmosphere in the American team. That's 1 minute 20, Patrick, and the only flat section of this track, so mostly double poling power. before we now head up into the climbs. Kowalczyk still using their double pole, single leg kick as it's called. Big explosive drive through the ski and then back into double poling as well.
Well, the conditions aren't good, just as Andy has pointed out to us, that the snow conditions across Europe are a little bit bizarre. Some resorts, most resorts have nothing, and then one or two resorts have far too much snow. And my understanding of it is that each resort gets snow with a certain direction of the wind. And if that wind never blows, you never get any snow. If it is your wind, then you get all the snow if it sticks. And we've had consistently strong southwesterlies across Europe simply because of those big systems that have been battering UK over the last month or so. And that's why there are just certain resorts that have never had the right wind conditions to bring the snow conditions.
It's strange, isn't it? And I know that East Tyrol in Austria, that's had a wonderful drop of snow over Christmas. So some 500 centimetres of snow there. And just in that, as you say, in that small area, unique, huge drop of snow.
Yeah, best snow conditions we've seen so far. It's not too bad in Antolz Anterselva, but they're slightly higher than most of the ski resorts at 1,700 metres. Trying to think where else we've seen some decent snow. I think North America's got good conditions at the moment, Mike. Sochi has virtually nothing. If you look at the webcams out there, although, as we've mentioned before, the meteorologists are promising a snowstorm this week. I think it's just as likely to be a rainstorm.
Yeah, unbelievable. I'm just thinking the Tour de Ski as we go down these the chicanes here. The Tour de Ski from Cortina over to Dobiaco. In fact, the Tour de Ski which Justyna Kowalczyk didn't take part in. There was good snow down there as well.
Very surprised to see Stephanie Böhler throwing in a hard snowplow to control her speed. Number 42 doing exactly the same. That's Romanovic from Poland, and taking things fairly conservatively. It does show you, Mike, that this is a test, and I'm sure all the women were watching the men's race earlier on today, and they will have heard about the difficult corners and the difficult sections of downhill.
Yeah, it is a test, and I just saw one athlete there, Sandra Shvetsova from the Czech Republic. She took a little tumble, bib 36, but she got up quickly, straight back into action.
So Kowalczyk out front at the moment. She hasn't quite shaken off Szklarska, and I think that supports what we were saying earlier on, Mike. Kowalczyk has got slow skis on so she can climb the hills faster than anyone else, because Szklarska was some 30 metres behind her at the top of the hill, and she's level with her at the bottom.
It's a dangerous amount of time to lose though, Patrick. The glide factor is vital as well as the climbing ability. And it's interesting, Kowalczyk over on this left track as we look down, and a lot of the athletes preferring this track as well. It's less glazed than the straighter line, the inside line on the... Well, now we're looking at it on the left side of this track.
Now, has Kowalczyk done the right thing? She said when she cancelled on the Tour de Ski that she didn't race the Tour de Ski because they took out all the freestyle, they took out all the classic legs, so we had 2 classic legs and 5 freestyle. She thought that meant it was impossible for her to win the Tour de Ski. For someone who's already won it 4 times, I think that might be a blessing in disguise, Mike, because it's allowed her to prepare for the Olympics. But if she's got the preparation right, when do you feel we should see the fireworks from her?
Well, looking at her today, Patrick, I was just trying to analyse. I thought we'd see some fireworks from her now, but I know she's suppressed with all the hard training she's been doing. And I think after 5 minutes, normally we would see her ahead by some 10 seconds. I would say she looks really tired today, but that's part of the plan. Hard training, do this race, and then prepare finally for the Olympics.
Yeah, and each athlete will have a certain amount of time that they like to lay up before the big race. I suspect that Kowalczyk will go for 10 days minimum of easy training before it comes to the games. But remember last year, or last time round in 2010, she went and raced in Canmore right before the games. Did okay there, but then lost her form for the actual Olympics.
So it's Serena Boner, the girl from Davos, racing for Switzerland. She took a little fall there, just heading back up into the climb. And now we're ready to drop off downhill again.
Most of the top athletes in the World Cup standings are absent from these races in Szklarska Poreba in Poland.
So Kowalczyk, 1.8 kilometers now, just beginning to create a few meters separation, only 2.1 seconds. Another chance, Patrick, to see if her skis are really catching this soggy, wet snow or the wax underneath her skis. Caldwell 15 seconds down after 6:45.
Denise Herrmann looking strong, Mike. She's an exciting prospect for the German team. And just like the men's race, the leaderboard really being dominated by the Russians and the Germans, with, of course, Kowalczyk in there. Once again, finding out that Kowalczyk's skis are slow, which she always goes a little bit sticky, Mike, but today I think she's probably overdone it. But does she know something as the local that the others don't know? And maybe as this race goes on, she'll start to gain the advantage.
It's a significant difference there. Kowalczyk 2.1 seconds ahead at the top of this descent, and we could see it quite clearly that Szklarska's skis were much faster, and the same goes for Denise Herrmann.
Yeah, if I was Szklarska, I would tuck in behind Kowalczyk, let her do the work out front, and realise, she must have realised already that she's got better skis than the pole. And with this flat finish into the finish area, when they come around for the third and final time, that is where to make her move.
Yeah,
all she's got to do is stay with Kowalczyk until the 9-kilometre stage.
Do you know, I think this must be one of the worrying moments in this racing season, the most worrying moment for Kowalczyk. She would have expected to be ahead by now, and without a doubt the glide factor on her skis playing a part in this.
Well, the crowd's got to be worth 5% for Justyna Kowalczyk, and it's a massive moment for her. It would be very sad if it went wrong. It didn't exactly go to plan yesterday.
No, but it was the freestyle, remember, of course, and maybe certainly not her favoured technique.
She's won freestyle sprints before.
She has.
17th position for Kowalczyk yesterday. Koziakova in third at the moment. Smutner's doing okay. And number 27 going through. That's Hongzhu Li of China. Now we see Kowalczyk just starting to wind it up again as we come towards the climb out of the stadium. One-step double pole at this stage, but they'll be into two-phase, the traditional classic style. It was a little bit cheeky, didn't give Szklarska too much space on that track change, Kowalczyk, but she knows which track is quicker, and that's the one she wants to be in.
The trouble with skis which glide slower on the descent, that extra resistance is there all the time, obviously around the rest of the course, and I would say it accounts for a small percentage extra work right now from Kowalczyk.
Just looking at Denise Herrmann, Mike, she's a tall woman but with a very short stride. She's lying in third place at the moment, and I wonder whether that's the sort of tradition of the Germans, because they tend to be a little bit more upright. It means that you can't extend your leg back as far.
A fair comment, and she is such a tall athlete, Denise Herrmann, and well, she's renowned as a sprinter. She's had 5 podiums this season in the sprint category. I think she's doing a great job.
Yeah, so you can see Kowalczyk wearing 1 in front. There's always a little bit of angle from the hips for the upper body, so the upper body's leaning forward. Denise Herrmann wearing 6 is just that little bit more upright, which means that the length of the stride is shortened.
So much so, you can see it there as well in the reach forward. On that tall frame, you could really extend through from the hip, as Kowalczyk does there. The huge slide through the hip, through the knee, getting as much reach into the hill as possible.
Once again, Kowalczyk starting to pull clear on the uphill. This is where she's so strong. This is why she has won the Tour de Ski 4 times, because she's almost unbeatable on the Alpe Chemise, although it would have been fascinating to see her in the Tour de Ski this year. Would Johaug have beaten her? I have a feeling she might have done.
And as you said earlier, only 2 out of 7 races in the Classic, and one of them was a sprint. The other was only 5 kilometres, so it didn't play into Kowalczyk's hands at all, into her strengths, and I think it was a wise decision for her to not take part.
Well, it was disappointing for us, certainly, and you can't only enter races that you think you're going to win.
And Kowalczyk was so disappointed when she heard the changes to the programme and she wanted them to reconsider. She said, well, how is this fair? 2 races classic, 5 in the freestyle, and we're trying to find the best overall skier in sprinting, long distance, hill climbing, and she had a fair comment to make.
But you can't do anything about the snow conditions, and that was the reason given for the changes. Now, Kowalczyk's opened up a much better lead, 45-50 metres now. Will she be able to maintain it? Not if she skis downhill like that. Szklarska should be able to close the gap a little. Number 9 going through, that's Zhukova of Russia, 21-year-old, alongside Julia Ivanova, who's done some great stuff over the years, but hasn't shown her best form so far this season. Here comes Szklarska, pulling away from Denise Herrmann, who also seems to be struggling on the downhill sections.
I think at this stage in the race, Patrick, so 12 minutes gone, this is where Kowalczyk's amazing capacity just begins to break the rest of the field. She keeps on relentlessly, the same pace and technique, but the others suffer, really suffer at this stage. She's back into her flow. She was very tense on the first rotation of 2.7. This is her back into her flow now.
And you know what? The tracks are getting a little bit more glazed every time they go round, and her skis seem to be gliding that little bit better. On the uphill again, and most athletes dread the uphills, love the downhills. It's the other way round for Kowalczyk. She can't wait for the start of the hard work as Denise Herrmann still looking very composed. I think her best chance is medals in the sprint event, emulating, of course, Effi Sackenbacher, who did it for Germany back in 2002 when she took the silver medal in the sprint in Salt Lake City.
Of course, this is the bonus sprints, or the 15 seconds and 13 for second place, all the way down to 1 point. For the BMX drive sprints.
Yeah, Kowalczyk's, well, she had her hands on the keys to the BMX drive before the Tour de Ski, but Johaug with some great racing. And we shouldn't forget Jakobsen, who's had a good season. None of the Norwegians here. They're all in Lillehammer, competing in the national championships. It's nice to see that the Norwegian national championships still mean so much to their athletes, Mike.
Yes, it does, and all the big names present to take part, and of course the final selection for the Olympic Games.
I can't think of a national championships that they have in Britain that actually floods the papers for the week that they're running.
And certainly not to the extent, and on national television, and many hours of television up there as well, covering the events.
And then to have a Brit beat them all. It hurts, said the paper. And so it should do. Andy Musgrave having a great time up in Lillehammer. Not only has he won the sprint, but he's also produced some top 10 results in the other disciplines. And if you can get top 10 in the Norwegian Championships, generally you're in the top 20 in the world.
Oh, without a doubt, and a real possibility with just, 2 weeks to go for the Olympics. It's got to be the best feeling for the British team, and Andrew Young performing so well also, so it's the best it's ever been, and the best chance for medals.
And what about Posey Musgrave as we watch Keegan Randall going through?
Posey's certainly having a very strong season, better in the sprint races, and well, good luck to her as well.
Now, what is the margin for Kowalczyk coming down towards the stadium for the second time? 5.1 kilometres when they complete this lap. And Kowalczyk now 15 seconds clear just about, with Denise Herrmann again latched onto the back of Szklarska. Those three look as though they're going to share the podium positions. Not quite decided. 14 seconds is not as much of a gap as Kowalczyk would have liked, Mike.
No, it's not, and I'll tell you what, Marit Bjørgen and Therese Johaug, all the Norwegians will be watching this, and I wonder what they're thinking. Can we beat Kowalczyk in the Classic? Is she looking good? Is she on form? I don't think she's on top form today.
Cheers from the crowd as the local Justyna Kowalczyk comes down to the stadium for the penultimate time. Welcome back to Poland. last of the World Cup action, and Szklarska closing 4 seconds on Kowalczyk in the descent down towards the stadium. There's a really good battle going on for the minor placings at the moment, led by Elizabeth Steven of the United States, just ahead of Stephanie Buller of Germany, number 33. That is Claudia Niestad, who's a very talented athlete indeed, lower down the World Cup rankings than we'd expect, but don't be surprised if she comes through to finish in the top 5. Kuziakova is still there. Ivanova, they've lost a few places, the Russians, on the way down the hill, and everyone's struggling with the skis. You can see how little glide they're getting. It's the same for Kowalczyk, but the harder they're going, the bigger the advantage to those with a better engine, and no one has an engine that can match Justyna Kowalczyk. Szklarska and Herman in second and third still. The glide is getting worse, and the advantage that the Russian had on the first lap is rapidly disappearing because everyone's skis are now getting slow. There's so much dirt on the tracks, and the wax is changing. Some of them are picking up wax from other skis, and Kowalczyk's that weren't gliding well to start with, I think she's probably shaken off the excess wax that she had, and the skis, her technique looks a whole lot better now.
Certainly looking so much more comfortable. So slushy, so wet, and you've still got that icy bit where the tracks have been cut in, but they can't cut the tracks deep at all because of this lack of snow.
So here comes Kowalczyk. I must apologise for misleading you earlier on. 3 laps was discussed, but the decision in the end was to go for 4, and so they've still got some way to go. 19 minutes on the clock at the moment. Each of the men's laps was taking just about 7 minutes 15 seconds. And the women close to 8.5, 9. Number 4, Elizabeth Steven, who comes from Montpellier, not the one in France, but in Vermont. And she's a really good climber, Steven, Mike, and an exciting prospect for the Americans. 3rd fastest time on the Alpe d'Huez this year, and when you've got Therese Johaug in the field, you know you're not going to win it, so effectively 2nd fastest.
Quite incredible, and again, is that momentum that the American team have got.
Yeah, what do you put that down to? A number of people have been asking how they made such an improvement over the last couple of seasons, but actually this has been going on since before Vancouver.
It has. Well, I mean, Elizabeth Steven, 27-year-old now, and then the young and talented Jessie Diggins, only 22, so she's been watching, following and training alongside those big names, those older, really talented athletes, and it's lifting her performance, and that's the same for Bjornsson as well.
But that doesn't hold. Just because you're training with good people, that doesn't make you good. There's got to be something in the program, the coaching, the venues they're using, the whole system. I don't know.
Matt Whitcomb is giving it super guidance. They've got all the technology, all the physiological background and information on the athletes. They're testing them regularly, bringing them to Europe to the glaciers in the summer so that they are still in contact with other teams, because it's very isolated over in America when most of the best teams are European.
And I think the other thing, Mike, that has helped is that if you look at the biathlon team, which has brought in Czech waxing men, they've brought in coaches, they've brought in lots of different nationalities to help with the team. So in effect, they're getting all the best information from all the other countries. And as you say, USA, Canada, pretty isolated in the Nordic world, and they need the help from Russia and Germany and Norway.
And that's right, the technicians, all foreign nationals out, and I beg your pardon, of course, it's this time for the bonus points.
Yeah. And there's no prizes for guessing who's going to get the 15 points. It will be Justyna Kowalczyk. She's out on her own now. Well, it's a shame. It's not quite as exciting as the men's race, Mike, where we still had a group of 11 at this stage, all vying for the lead. In fact, most of them trying to avoid leading, but not wanting to be out of the top 3. So there was a lot of jostling going on. Very difficult to predict who was going to take the win. But Kowalczyk once again has just stamped her authority on this one. And that lead of 50 metres she should be able to hold.
Looking more comfortable, but Denise Herman's having a fantastic day. renowned more as the sprinter, but certainly putting it together so well.
Is she going to survive? Herman is in third. Once again, she's lost a little ground to Szklarska on the uphill sections, but that group behind her has not lost any ground on Denise Herman. We'll get the exact timings as they all come through 6.9. So the maximum bonus points to Kowalczyk, and she's got a step closer to claiming the BMW come the end of the season. Surely she's got enough BMWs by now.
Well, what a nice gift again to have at the end of a season. Denise Herman almost walking. In fact, she did there. She broke into it, barely moving. So steep this hill.
This is where we saw Polteranen walking in the men's race. The reason being is he just put in a big effort to try and claim maximum points and decided he needed a 50-meter walk to recover.
Struggling now, Denise Herman, but she'll get her breath back. A nervous look behind her.
Yeah, and so it should be a nervous one because Elizabeth Diggins, once again, is climbing the hill very well. 51.6 through 6.9, and with 2.7 each loop, the total distance is going to be around 10.8.
Nystadt in there as well. She's always comes to form, closing in on the major championships.
Ida Sargent's not having a bad run, so all in all the Americans doing well. So Germany, USA, Russia using this as a training race. Poland, of course, are here. There's no surprises to see Kowalczyk out front. The next best of the Poles, and we don't really get to mention them. Simonczak is there wearing 25, Masiuszek wearing 26. But there, we'll try and track their performances. Not in the top 10. I don't think either of them are in the top 20. There we have, actually, in 14th place, Masiuszek. So Kowalczyk getting maximum bonus points for the BMW Drive Trophy. And the crowd will enjoy this sight. It's time Poland brightened up their ski suit, I think, Mike.
Well, I mean, it stands out normally against the white snowy background, but there's a lot of mud and grass at trackside today.
One of the reasons they go for black is because the sponsors' names stick out more clearly. But it's the same as Bulgaria, it's the same as Switzerland. It doesn't help us picking her out, although she's usually out front. So that's...
She certainly is usually out front. And I think this is a great day from Szklarska. Of course, she did well in Davos as well, and was a very good junior. Medals at the junior and under-23 championships, 1 gold, 2 silvers and 3 bronze.
Yeah, they've always said over the years that one of the problems the Russian team have is how to find their athletes. What have they got? 2 million enthusiast cross-country skiers, recreational cross-country skiers, and then you've got to somehow track down all the talented ones. Szklarska comes from Vologda, which is northwest of Russia, so I guess that's a little easier to find her than it is those who are flying in Siberia.
And it's such a huge country to locate that talent and bring the knowledge base together. This is great news for Kowalczyk with 1 lap to go.
Next time round, she'll be just slightly over to the right. I think the most encouraging thing for Szklarska as regards her potential in the Olympics is the fact that she took the silver medal in the skiathlon in the pre-Olympic World Cup, which was run last year. The World Cup Tour always goes to the Olympic venue the year before the Olympics, and everyone gets a taste of that. To win there or to get on the podium is a massive boost.
And we often see that. The athlete which the year previously, they've got that, as you say, that positive feeling, that happy memory, and that really does account for something when they then go 1 year later and they have all the spectators around. They've been there before and they've done it before.
Well, I think a lot of it's to do with the fact that certain courses suit certain people. If you're really good at climbing steep hills, then Sochi is going to suit you. If you like gentle climbs that we see in Scandinavia a lot of the time, then Sochi isn't going to suit you. Herman's still in third, but she's only 6 seconds clear of fourth place now. Nystadt and Steven and Bola pushing each other very well. A minute behind. Ivanova and Zukova need to pick it up. They were right up there in the early stages. That's Kuziakova, who was contending for a top 4 on lap number 2, but she looks as though she's faded, needs to just hook in behind Katarina Smutner of Austria. And Smutner having a really good run. It's nice to see her showing some potential, Mike.
Yeah, Smutner, she has her good days. One of these athletes that when she's good, she's really good and up the top. And I suppose that's equipment and getting the right wax. There's so many factors when you don't have a huge backup team. So today, obviously, everything is great.
So talking about Austrian women, what about the Austrian men? It's not been a happy history for them, really. Of course, they were at the top of the table back in 2002, Salt Lake City, but that's where all the doping offences were discovered.
Yeah, no, they've had a checkered history, and it's all sorts of accusations through the years. And
I wonder, part of the reason they haven't got any top cross-country skiers at the moment is because all their top talent tends to go to biathlon.
Yes, it does. Schumann and, of course, Mesetic and Landetinger. There's some great talent there in the biathlon side. Tritscher earlier today, though, he's a young, great talent I think the Austrians have found and put in some fantastic results so far.
Yeah, he'll be an interesting one to watch. He'd be wishing that there was a 3-kilometre race in the Olympic programme, and I tend to agree. I would rather see a prologue distance race, individual time trial, than I would the team sprint. Would you go along with that? I would. The team sprint, I mean, it's great. There's a big audience there, but there's only 3 of them a year, so they're not really included in the programme. Just looking at sort of Patrick Nystadt, 33, she really has found that old strength, the form that she has shown us over many, many years. Just slowly coming forward. Formerly, of course, Claudia Kunzel, and she's been a fantastic ambassador for the German team over the years, and I think that Denise Herrmann is going to be a little bit surprised when she sees Nystadt coming up alongside her in just a moment. That little glance would have shown her that Steven is on the climb again. Oh, she's a fantastic climber, and maybe Steven is someone you could put some money on for a medal position in Sochi next month, because her ability to get up the hills is quite staggering. Szklarska still in second place and 100 metres clear. Surely she's got enough of an advantage. The real race in this one is for third place. Nystadt starting to fade. Herrmann has upped her game, having seen Steven come alongside her wearing 6, and just behind her, number 10, that's Julia Ivanova from Sosnogorsk in Russia, and she's getting closer and closer to the podium positions. A little bit of showboating now for Kowalczyk. This is the old Kowalczyk. She was a little sluggish off the line. Not sure the technicians got it quite right. Second run in Wengen coming up as our next live programme. Nick and John lined up for that event. Luckily, the snow conditions there are just a little bit better than we've got in Poland, but well done to the officials here, Mike. They've got the race underway. I know the men's race was slightly chaotic for the first lap, but since then it's run okay. Yes, and it has levelled out quite quickly in the women's field. I do like the fact that we're now getting a chasing pack trying to close down Szklarska. Here's Szklarska, but I think the chasing pack are just a little too far away at this stage in the race. Last time up to the high point, painful high point. Definitely back to her old style, her old attack, and she was definitely nervous, so nervous about today and very tense. But she's going up here as if she's got crampons on the bottom of her skis. It's the technique she uses. It's served her so well over the years. Hot favourite to take the classic races out in Sochi, and of course the 10-kilometre is in the classic style, so nailed on favourite for that. I can't see Marit Bjørgen or Johaug being able to challenge her. But those are the 3 big names for the medals, would you suggest? I think so, and you know, with Therese Johaug, well, in terms of the overall World Cup, 1,002 points, and Jakobsen second place, 841. And that's partly because Marit Bjørgen pulled out of the Tour de Ski, and of course Kowalczyk wasn't there. Well, the race for third place is still going on. Denise Herrmann has switched from the right track to the left. Stephen has gone from the left track to the right and now being forced out of the way. I think that's Julia Ivanova coming through and starting to challenge for third place. Szklarska surely is safe in second at the moment. Yes, she's got at least a 25-second gap, if not more, over the chasing pack. But I think we're going to see a fantastic sprint for the last place on the podium. How convincing has this been? 9.9 kilometres and 32:20 on the clock. This is slow by normal standards.
It's very... when the snow is this wet, it grips onto your skis. Oh, Jessie Diggins, I thought she was going to be up into third place. This hill is really making her suffer.
That's a good little burst coming in from Julia Ivanova, who's managed to get away from Elizabeth Stephen. That would have been a sensational run for the American if she could have got in the top three. Nystadt has suffered, so has her teammate Böhler. And dropping down into sixth position now is Denise Herrmann, having been in third for 3.5 of the 4 laps.
Just looking further back down the track. Patrick Kicken-Randall, 20th position, 1:49 behind. I know she's not an out-and-out distance or classic specialist, but I thought she might be a little further up than 1:49.
Most important thing at this stage is just to make sure they stay on their feet. The locals will enjoy the fact that they've had some tracks prepared, so they're going to get their first skiing tomorrow once the tracks are open for general use. The burst from Ivanova continues, but she's still not quite shaken off the American. But Stephen hasn't been particularly quick on the downhill, and I think the American is in danger from Claudia Nystadt, who's really pushing now from behind, looking to go into fourth place. First place secured. It will be Justyna Kowalczyk. There were a few questions asked on that first lap, Mike.
Definitely were, and I do think that's the home crowd, the pressure she was putting herself under. She definitely wasn't relaxed at all on that first rotation, then back into her flow for 2, 3 and 4.
Yeah, she can start the celebrations. I'm amazed she hasn't already picked up the Polish flag. Surely she will as she comes in the finish. So Justyna Kowalczyk winning her first World Cup in Poland, and she's done it in some style. I know that many of the other top athletes aren't here, but I'm not sure many of them would have had an answer for Kowalczyk's speed over the last 2 laps. And the time, 34.34. Nice and symmetric. And Kowalczyk taking another 100 World Cup points to close down the gap that has opened since she missed out on the Tour de Ski. Too far away to take yet another overall title? I suspect so.
I think so. When you lose, of course, Therese Johaug picked up 400 points for winning the Tour de Ski. You can't compete with that.
Good run from Szklarska. That will boost Russia's hopes. 20th in the World Cup before today. She's going to go up at least 4 places, possibly 5. And that will put her in good spirits. Her preparation is going very nicely indeed. But Kowalczyk really too strong. 2 Russians on the podium in the men's race, and there are going to be 2 Russians on the podium in the women's race as well. A well-paced race from Julia Ivanova. She was down in 8th place after 3 laps. She's produced the fastest final lap, and it's brought her the bronze medal today. Well done to her. Still a minute off the pace of Kowalczyk, but a good performance and showing good strength in the finish. And taking number 4 is Denise Herrmann. Well done to Herrmann, because I thought she was out of it. Nystadt taking 5. Stephen, who threatened to get that 3rd place at one stage, dropping down into 6. And Stephanie Böhler of Germany putting 3 Germans in the top 7. So it's been a good day for Russia and Germany. But the Swedes, the Norwegians and the Finns are all missing. Bear that in mind. Great race and a great day, though, for Justyna Kowalczyk of Poland, who wins her first World Cup on home snow. Well, they've survived not the best of conditions, and the conditions, as you can see in Wengen, are excellent for the second run of the slalom, and that is where we're heading now. Thanks for your company. We'll be back with more winter sports action later on today. But from Poland, thanks for your company, and well done to Justyna Kowalczyk.